Bitcoin remains stable at around 78,000 US dollars. Gold and silver are pumping back up after taking a significant dip yesterday morning. And I have to say right away, yesterday I bought a bit of gold for the first time in a long while, haven't bought any silver yet. The price targets for that haven't been reached yet. Otherwise, the altcoin market looks relatively stable with hype standing out a bit. But apart from that, unfortunately, the problems are still the same. So with that, welcome to a new crypto update video. Yes, Bitcoin is at 78,350 US dollars. Somehow it still doesn't really look that good. Yesterday we had good data from the ISM sector, but we still need to break those down a bit more right now. At this point, otherwise Bitcoin didn't manage to form a higher high yesterday. Neither on the 4-hour nor on the 1-hour chart. That's also not exactly what we were hoping for. We're just above our Asia range, we have to admit. So this was the Asia range yesterday, these two low points here. We're above it, but now we really need to move away from it a bit first. So as you can see, it's still a kind of wishy-washy situation at the moment, neither fish nor fowl. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. Before we continue, a quick reminder, tonight at 7 p.m. we're live streaming again on YouTube. If you're interested, feel free to tune in tonight. Otherwise, before we get started, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, feel free to check out the free Telegram talk and Signal group. There you'll always get the latest updates whenever I enter any trades or if anything happens. You'll be the first to know about it here. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade everything we talk about here, whether it's crypto, Forex, stocks, or anything else, you can do all of that on my partner exchange, WEEX. Just sign up using the link below in the video description. And now, during the live streams, you can also win trial funds if you register using my link. I think that's a really cool thing from WeEX, for sure. All right, let's get started. 78,300 US dollars. As I said, we're looking at the 4-hour chart. No higher high was formed here anymore. That's a bit of a shame, actually, for the movement. But what you can definitely see here in the last few hours is that there is a small but notable, if you want to put it positively, accumulation phase that we're currently in. At the same time, we can also see that the funding rates have slipped back into negative territory, which is finally a positive sign, as it means people aren't immediately going long again. Still, a small pullback right now wouldn't actually be such a bad thing. What I could imagine, or rather, what would look really, really good is if we were to form a kind of inverse head and shoulders pattern here for the first time, and from there at least work our way up into the range of 82,000 to 83,000 US dollars to the upside, because we still have some inefficiencies there, or rather, due to the sell-off, there's still quite a bit left as well. There are red vector candles lying there that the market could definitely still target before we see the next turnaround to the downside. I still don't believe that this was the bottom here at the moment. Even though the news was a bit overwhelming yesterday, if we switch over to the news in a moment, the Purchasing Managers Index, which we've been talking about for a while now, and with it, the US Real M2 money supply, that is the ISM PMI, both bounced significantly to the upside yesterday. So on the one hand, that's a positive sign, but if you dig a little deeper into the whole matter or listen to a few opinions, it could be that the warehouses were simply restocked. That means it's about the manufacturing sector, how much is actually being produced. And if you look at the past few months, it's always in December or January, or rather the numbers went up significantly again. Well, of course, people start buying again after a good Christmas season. Possibly they're restocking the warehouses, and those are exactly the kinds of opinions we're hearing here all the time. A machinery company says the recent European tariff rates risk a huge negative impact on our profit for our current quoted orders. That doesn't really sound all that good now. That means we also have to wait for the next readings here, just as we usually do with inflation data. Then yesterday, there was also the news that since there's another shutdown in the US, there won't be any labor market data released this Friday. Congratulations. So we're kind of left in the dark again, and labor market data are also important indicators. And of course, this also matters for the Fed, or rather for potential interest rate cuts. Even though we now have a new Fed chair, he pays attention to this as well. So it's a really, really strange situation. So on the one hand, it's good news, but on the other hand, it's not. Asian stocks jumped the most since April. Gold rebounds, that's what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So the indices are off to a relatively good start, also because Palantir reported pretty good numbers yesterday. Gold is once again one of the front runners. Bitcoin is currently always in this wishy-washy situation, just like I mentioned earlier. Nothing definite at the moment, neither one thing nor the other. I'm definitely still staying on the sidelines here. The long position is running, the short position is still running as well. A pump to the upside wouldn't surprise me. But if we take a closer look at the heat map, especially now on looking at the 7-day view, we see, okay, there is only one big cluster at 85,000. It's a bit strange considering everyone says there's massive liquidation happening at the top and so on. Sure, we could filter out the large orders, then we'd get a different picture, but honestly, there's really nothing substantial. Let's switch to the monthly time frame and take a look at where most of the liquidity currently lies. There we can see, of course, obviously, on the one hand, we have a solid cluster up top towards 100,000, but also still directly below us from 74K down to 70K, exactly this cluster. What I would still like to see is for us to pick that up, meaning another 10% drop. To the downside, that would still be my preferred scenario at the moment. Then the buy zone would be completely filled. We would have the vector candle, the inefficiency, everything filled. And of course, also the textbook target of our ABC. That means the C wave generally has a target from the 1.414 to the 1.786 level. And the 1.786 level is down here at about 69,000 US dollars. Let's wait and see. Short rebounds are possible, but whether this is really the sustainable trend reversal, I still have my doubts. Even if we take a quick look at the spot order book, you can see that there is massive selling again. So the buys we saw over the weekend, those two dip buys, were already completely absorbed again yesterday over the last day. As soon as we go up a little, there are immediately spot sales coming in again. So in my opinion, this is not a sustainable bullish sentiment, but simply, again, both of those were dip opportunities that some people took advantage of. But as we move up, things are slowly but surely being sold off again. The ETFs are also continuing to sell and sell. So that's all for now on that topic. As I said, apparently we don't need to go into more detail here for the moment. Let's move over to Ethereum. How does it look there? Yeah, pretty much the same picture. Here too, of course, we have a bullish divergence on the 1 hour time frame. We'll also take a look at the whole thing on the 4 hour time frame. From our bison, actually pretty good. The reaction, I didn't open a long position here, so if anyone's wondering, no, it was just a spot buy zone. And honestly, this upward move doesn't really look sustainable either. So as you can already see down here, the volume is dropping off significantly again, and that's just not what we want to see. When we're already in such a buy zone, we want to see longer accumulation, sustainable accumulation, and then a sustainable breakout with a lot of volume. We're just not seeing any of that at the moment. Same story with Solana. Solana is in the buy zone. It dropped to $95, but didn't quite fill the wick. Here too, just like with Bitcoin, the wick is still open. Volume spiked briefly. Yes, okay, that looked good. And now it immediately dropped again. Doesn't look so good anymore. Again, no higher high was formed. So as you can see, the market situation is unchanged. Crappy. Really, it's just not good at all. No idea who is interpreting anything bullish at the moment. But we need a complete sentiment shift for things to improve here in any way. And we can say, okay, now we've hit the bottom. Now we go long. And to the moon, and Bitcoin will be at 500,000 million next week. Something like that, but I still don't see it happening at the moment. But on the other hand, gold, I already mentioned it in the intro, gold was accumulated yesterday. To be honest, I was kind of waiting for that. After such a 21% drop, or I think it was even more, I believe almost 22% down from the all-time high within a week, yesterday morning I quickly bought gold at $4,600. It definitely paid off for the first time, now back at $4,800, currently $4,870. We're definitely seeing the rebound here, and that's another sign. So I'll say it again and again and again, like probably in every video. When gold rises, it usually has two reasons. Either we get interest rate cuts, which we can completely write off at the moment because the economy is doing well, or there is geopolitical uncertainty. And this geopolitical uncertainty is simply reflected here in the gold chart. And of course, it's the same story with silver. Exactly the same thing is happening right now. We see the markets pumping everything back in, even though we're not getting any interest rate cuts. I think that was the wash arrows that were being driven through the country here. Sell-off. Okay, so maybe Wash isn't the cool guy who prints a ton of money after all. It doesn't look like that. A slap down and now another new rise upwards again, just like before, because the geopolitical and monetary policy uncertainties, of course, still remain. Let's move over to the Forex sector. USD JPY, yes, pumped up a bit, but not really everything. Euro US dollar is stable, dollar is rising again. Many have written it off, but never underestimate the dollar. Just my 2 cents. Doesn't look too bad at all. All right, let's move on to the three SNL markets. DAX. Once again, the A and B were nicely formed, but the C was way too easy. So it could have dropped a bit lower again. But all right, we'll have to watch and see if that was it already, because as I said, Monday is often a false move. Monday, Dow Jones, always the same moves. So we keep seeing these strong spikes, then these sell-offs again. So here too, I'm still not convinced that it's clear yet. We can now form a new all-time high again, but this all-time high is once more on very, very low volume. That's actually not what we want to see. NASDAQ. Same story, look at the volume. The volume is pretty much dead. S&P 500, wrong chart. So here again, more selling volume coming in. Yesterday, there was a bit of volume, but it's not the real deal. There's clearly a lack of volume. Russell as well recovered again yesterday, but volume is dead. The markets keep pumping without real volume. The volatility index has cooled off a bit again, but even here, we're still in a territory where I'd say a big spike upward could happen at any time. That means the situation, basically nothing has changed at all. I'm still extremely bearish about the coming weeks because for me, there's simply nothing positive still. I'll probably continue to be the only bear on YouTube here, but well, that's just how it is. But all right, let's just wait and see for now. Let's see what else happens. Otherwise, I'd say that's it from my side for sure. We'll hear from each other again this evening at 7 p.m., then back on YouTube. I'm definitely looking forward to having a few of you join again. We'll analyze the markets a bit and look at the latest news. And otherwise, I'd say that's definitely it from my side. Thank you for watching. Yes, indeed, thank you for watching and of course for listening. Thank you very, very much. And then I'd say see you this evening. Wishing you a nice, relaxing day. Until then, ciao, ciao, and see you soon. Stay creepy.